Hello YouTube and Amtgard, Garrett here. The next video on Thornwood Creations. Sorry about last week. I've been at two events back to back, so I am tired and my voice is a little hoarse, so I apologize for my voice. But today we're going to continue with the part 2 of weapon building. So today we're going to do the inevitable, probably the goat of cores, the golf shaft core. Now this one's already been pre-cut, so I don't really have another one there, pre-cut there. So we're just going to jump into the specifics for how I make a golf shaft core versus last week's video where we did the PVC irrigation cord for the very beginner simple one. So this is the next step up. Last one was good. This is the better. So we're going to start here with our normal golf shaft and a pretty standard golf shaft graphite core. Now this one has a lot of them tend to have rubber handles. So we'll start with this end. So for a lot of people, some people will just leave it on here and that's perfectly fine. You just build the cap like we would do in the last video, and you build, and I'll show you the front and rear middle, and then you're done with this. However, this one's split, and I personally don't really like the rubber core, so we're going to go ahead and take a minute, and I'm going to cut this core off. And all you got to do is just use your standard regular knife. So this one's already got, I might have tried to cut it off once before. I don't know. It's split either way. Okay, and we're just going to peel that off. Pretty straightforward and simple. Now we got that off, so we got a nice smooth sit there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the end here. If you haven't noticed, it does have a taper. This is pretty much every golf shaft ever. Now, unlike PVC, we're not just going to throw that in and call it done, because if we do, or that rattle, you don't want that rattle. That rattle is bad. That will destroy your foam, wear it out there. Even if you have a other solid core tip, you want to still build this up. So here's how I'm going to show you how I build up my ends. There's a couple ways to do it. This one I actually like because I think this is the easiest and most proficient long one. We're going to start with some craft foam, just like we had before. This is the self-adhesive. So we're going to take that, and we're going to go ahead and use a ruler right here. And I actually like to use about a ruler's width of craft foam. And we're just going to make a nice slice. So we're going to slice this up. We're going to make several cuts of this, because this is what we're going to use to build up the end and also throughout the bottom of the core, so that we have enough to take up that slack inside the pipe insulation. So now we got those three nice cores right there. I got one long one, so we're going to use this extra wide one on the end. And it's real simple. You're going to line up the end. Here, if I can do this. Yeah. Problem doing this after a day job. I'm tired. Okay, so we're just going to line it right up there on the end. And we're just going to get as close as we can. And you're just going to build that up. We're just going to roll, 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 roll. And I think that's probably far enough. So we're just going to cut that end off. Going to do a little sanity check here. Probably too much, so we're going to try to back a little bit off. This stuff does do a pretty good job of sticking to itself, so. All right, we're going to back that off. We're going to get a little thing here. We're going to. Okay, so now we got that build up there. We're going to try that again. Ah, that's much better. You just want it to touch. You don't want it enough to push out. You don't have to run it up there. We want about that much on the end. So now we're going to take the other pieces we had earlier, and we're going to go about, I like about 4 or 5 inches, or about a hand's width. Obviously your hand width may vary, But we're doing this old school, very period, where they usually measured feet by their foot and a hand was a hand. So I like to do about, my hands are about 4.5 inches wide, about 4 inches there. And I think that's probably going to be enough. Now, as you go down the taper, you're not going to need as much. So we're going to hold on to that scrap piece we used, because we're going to use that. Just going to keep going down here. And you're going to do this about 3 or 4 times till we get down to about where the base of the where we want it to be. So we got 3, and we're going to do, I think one more should probably do it. That one's actually kind of on the thicker side. Okay, so there we got that. So we got about 4 or 5 of those. I also like to, for these, because the we don't want that tape coming apart, I like to just go a little bit of clear tape, wrap it around. You don't have to do a lot, just enough to get some tape on there. That's going to protect it and let it keep it from ripping itself apart when we slide the core back on it. Now, I'm not going to go in a full build on this. You can watch my last video. Everything else is going to be the same. This is just core specific. So we'll just put some tape on there, just to help. This is going to keep the tape in place and protect it while we slide the core up and down. You don't necessarily have to do it, but this is going to keep the tape, the foam, from sliding around and moving out of place. Yeah, that might be a bit thick there, but we'll do it anyways. This is just all to show you the demo. So now that we've done that, press that all down. Okay. So now we should be able to just slide the foam You hear that? Nothing. Why? Because we fixed it. And that is why we put the foam on there. Now, just like on the PVC core, we're still going to put a cap on the end there. There's another reason we build it up. Because we want to go ahead and still safety first. Just because it's PVC, not PVC, that point stick will still blow through. You want to build it up to about that tip there for your there. And that's going to help, like I said, just there. So we're going to build the tip. That part the same way we did in the last video, no different. And everything from here forward is exactly the same. Everything from for the pommel back, exactly the same. Now, what we're going to change, I'm going to show you next, is how do I do the handle here? Because this is a little thin, it's a little bare bones. Well, I like to counterweight my swords. So what we're going to do is we're going to put so this one, because once again we're going to have the same issue. There's not a lot of room there. There's a lot of slap. So we got to fill it up with tape. Now there's two ways you can do this. I use very good heavy duty, thick, heavy duct tape, or you can use lighter weight painter's tape. This is all a matter of how you want to balance your sword. So I like to balance back weight my swords more. So I'm going to use a 2-inch piece of heavy, thick duty duct tape. The heavier the better. And we're just going to build that pommel up. We're just going to build it up with tape. Tape there. Build it up, build it up, build it up. Okay, that looks good. So now we have that built up. Because we're going to put about a 2-3 inch there. And the more weight you put back here, that moves your center of balance further towards the hand. Now, where you want center of balance is really up to you and how you like to do it. Now, the nice thing about this is now I have this blue weight heavy there. I can do the next one here and add more weight to the back, or I could use lighter painter's tape along the way. So let's go ahead and let's do a lightweight thing of painter's tape. Now, usually at this point, before I start trying to balance handles, I'm going to go ahead and build up, at least put the front end of the sword up. So this way I know where my, how it's going to feel in the center of balance. Now, we're not taping it down just yet. Because remember, like I said, we want to build up our handle first before we put the sword on. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and just get an approximation for where the sword, so that way we play with it, we can play around with the balance. And we're just going to build the handle up to whatever, however thick we like it. So it's not necessarily going to be as thick as here, because this is going to get covered by the pommel. So we're just going to build up the front, and this is where that taper comes into place. So it'll be a little thicker at the front, a little thinner at the back. And you just, it takes a little time and a little bit of experience and a little bit of experimentation to figure out what you like, how you like your sword balance. Typically a more, do you like a more back heavy sword? Do you prefer a more neutrally balanced sword? Or do you want your tip to be slightly tip heavy? There's advantages and disadvantages to all three. Typically a back heavy sword is to be very fast on the riposte return for blocking and stuff. So it's great if you're a strike blocker kind of fighter. It really allows you to whip it back and get in a position to block much faster. More aggressive fighters tend to prefer tip heavy swords. And I'm kind of, for Amtgard, I'm in the middle ground. I like a neutral to somewhat a little bit more back heavy, because I really like to be able to whip around and whip my shots around. Okay, we'll put one more on there. And this is just a rough thing. I mean, we're just doing this just for demonstration purposes. Plus, this is a good way to know how long you make your Amtgard handle. I'd say at least 6 inches. Three 2-inch things of swords here. And you can build it up to how you like. Now, if you could add things like leather wrap or ripcord wrap over top of this, because we're not going to leave this by itself. And then that slides down, and that's basically your handle. And then from there, we can build it up. You build it up however you like, or you can experiment. You can go ahead and put, like, okay, I'm going to put some black here, blue here, do black, blue, and change the weight. But so just remember, the more weight you add to the back, the more you're going to move that center of balance to the back. More weight up front, you're going to move it towards the front, or less weight back here. It's going to tip the center of balance more towards the tip, making a more tip heavy sword, which makes it for more aggressive cuts and swings and such. But I generally prefer a nice, well-balanced one. In fact, this is my new sword I'm working on right now, and you can see I did 2 here in the back. This was a custom pommel, so it's already got some weight. I actually added some tape here to add some additional, just a hair more weight to the back end, so it becomes very neutral to slightly back heavy. It's just how I like my swords. To give you an example, so I used 2 layers of black to go there, and then some lighter blue, so I didn't add a whole lot of weight to this sword overall, and it makes it much easier to handle. And it's an experimental thing. You play around with it, play with it. You can also technically do this with the PVC cores if you really want to. If you're want a little bit thicker handle and you want to move the weight back, add some tape to the back. Now I'm doing this with duct tape and painter's tape, but you can also get there's lead tape, there's all kinds of heavy tape. Some people will you can put a bolt down up the core I didn't do it on this one, but you got a hole that you can put a lag bolt down into and then build the pommel over. That will significantly pull the sorry. That was significantly back weight. I've done those, but I felt that was excessive. But for a short sword. Now, if I'm doing a great sword and I'm making like a 60-inch or a 6-foot great sword, oh yeah, I'm putting a lag bolt in the back. That's going to really help with the back weight. But that's basically how we're going to do a golf shaft core. Everything else is the same. You still do the same on the tip, same on the pommel. We don't need to build a whole new sword here. And just so you see it one more time. So I got just regular old Walmart craft foam. You buy big old block of it for like $5, and this will last you a really long time. And I use it for a lot of projects. And you do that about every 4 inches or so, all the way down to your handle. Give yourself about 8 inches total. So you want 6 inches of handle with 2 inches for your pommel. Build up the pommel however you like. With whatever material, like I said, duct tape is a good way to build up some extra weight in the back. And then you can use lighter blue tape, or you can do the whole thing in black duct tape, but that does tend to add a lot of weight in my opinion. And then you can, when we're done with this, you can... So with this one, I'm probably just going to get a racquetball or tennis rubber grip wrap and just wrap it up with that. And it gives me a nice, good, soft grip to put on. But I could also use paracord or other string and wrap a string on there and then do a leather wrap is really, if you want to get really fancy. Or you could just take it as is, throw some grip tape on it and call it done. But I'm probably going to finish this up with a racquetball grip wrap or something like that, because it's almost done and I like to have a little squish in my hand. There. So this is my new sword, just so everybody sees it. And this is done on a kite spar core with a solid octagon EVA foam tube. This is your high-end stuff here. This is going to be my new field sword. I got to rebuild my old one. The foam is shooting out. But there. So for the next video, now that we have example of sword, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I make sword covers. The simplest, easiest way for those that do not like to sew. With that, I think that shall do this week's video. And like I said, next video I shoot, I'll go ahead and do the how to make a sew a cover. And then after we're done that, I think that'll wrap up the basics for a short sword and dagger and all this. So we already discussed, you can refer back to my last video about how to build the actual, do this and all the blade and everything on here. But in the meantime, that will do it. We'll do the video on the how to sew a sword cover next. And then after that, I will probably go ahead and start and get back into doing the leather working series, where I'll start with tools and move my way up. Do that for a while. Or I'm open to suggestions. There's something you wanted to see how it's done, let me know and I'll see if I can make it happen. Oh. So with that, Thornwood Armory out. In the meantime, stay crafty.